Hi, my name is Jacqueline Silvers, and I'm an educational leader, special education administrator, and an educator with more than 20 years of experience supporting students with diverse learning and behavioral needs. Throughout my career, I've worked with families, teachers, and multidisciplinary teams to help children overcome barriers and reach their full potential. Today, I'd like to share the story of a young student whose behaviors often appeared frightening and confusing on the surface, but those actions told a much deeper story about anxiety, communication, and unmet needs. Let's begin with the quiet storm within. In a quiet suburban town lived a young man named Noah. At first glance, Noah seemed much like any other high school student. He attended classes, carried a backpack overflowing with papers, and navigated the crowded hallways between bells. He enjoyed science fiction novels, astronomy documentaries, and creating detailed digital maps of imaginary worlds. Yet Noah experienced the world differently from many of his peers. He'd been diagnosed with high-functioning autism at an early age. He possessed remarkable intelligence and an extraordinary memory. He could recall facts, dates, and details that most people forgot within minutes. But intelligence alone did not make life easier. Many of Noah's greatest struggles were invisible. His challenges could not be explained by a lack of intellectual ability, nor were they caused by hearing or visual impairments. Instead, Noah faced obstacles rooted in emotion, anxiety, and social understanding. Each day felt like entering a foreign country where everyone else somehow knew the language except him. The rules of conversation seemed unwritten. Friendships appeared to form effortlessly among others while remaining frustratingly out of reach. Teachers often misunderstood his reactions. Classmates sometimes misinterpreted his intentions. And slowly over time, Noah began to believe there was something fundamentally wrong with him. The hallway. One morning, Noah entered school already exhausted. The fluorescent lights felt painfully bright. The overlapping sounds of conversations bounced around the hallway like thunder. Lockers slammed, shoes squeaked. Announcements echoed throughout loudspeakers. To most students, these sounds blended into the background. To Noah, they arrived all at once. His nervous system absorbed every detail. By the time first period began, his energy reserves were nearly depleted. That morning, a teacher unexpectedly announced a group project. Immediately, Noah's stomach began to tighten. Group projects were among his greatest fears, not because he disliked learning, not because he lacked the ability, but because they required navigating through social situations that felt unpredictable and confusing. All students quickly formed teams, but Noah remained frozen in his seat. The room buzzing with conversation, everyone seemed to know exactly where they belonged, except, of course, Noah. A familiar thought entered his mind. Nobody wants me here. The thought felt true, even though it wasn't. Yet anxiety often disguises itself as certainty. The misunderstanding. Eventually, a group reluctantly invited Noah to join them. As the discussion began, Noah became intensely focused on solving the assignment. He immediately identified several errors in the group's planning and pointed them out. His observations were accurate, but his delivery sounded blunt. One student rolled her eyes, another sighed loudly, and a third muttered, "Why are you always so negative?" Noah felt confused. He was so confused it completely washed over him, and he wasn't trying to criticize anyone. He was trying to help. Yet somehow, his efforts seemed to create distance instead of connection. His heart raced, his thoughts accelerated, and the room suddenly felt unsafe. When another student laughed quietly across the table, Noah assumed they were laughing at him. His anxiety filled in missing information. The emotional pain became overwhelming. Without warning, he pushed back his chair and left the room. The class interpreted this departure as disrespectful. The teacher saw defiance. His peers saw rudeness. But beneath the surface was something entirely different. Fear. Overwhelming, consuming fear. Home. That evening, Noah sat alone in his bedroom. His parents worried constantly. They loved him deeply, yet they often felt powerless. Conversations at home frequently ended in frustration. His mother would ask about school, and Ethan would just answer with one-word responses. His father would offer advice, but Noah would hear criticism. Everyone wanted connection. Nobody knew how to reach it. The misunderstandings accumulated slowly, like tiny stones placed one after the other between people who cared about each other. One evening, after another difficult day, Noah's mother sat quietly beside him. She didn't ask questions. She didn't offer solutions. She simply sat there. For several minutes, neither spoke. Finally, Noah whispered, "I don't know why. Everything is so hard." His mother felt tears form in her eyes. Because beneath every conflict, every outburst, and every withdrawal, this was the truth she rarely heard. Her son wasn't choosing struggle. He was surviving it. The counselor. Several weeks later, Noah began meeting regularly with the school counselor. At first, he resisted. He assumed the counselor would simply tell him how he was failing. Instead, she did something unexpected. She listened. She listened carefully. She listened without judgment. And one afternoon, she drew 2 circles on a sheet of paper. In one circle, she wrote, "What others see," and in the other circle, she wrote, "What Noah experiences." Together, they filled the page. Others saw anger, withdrawal, rudeness, defiance, but Noah experienced fear, confusion, overstimulation, loneliness, embarrassment, anxiety. The counselor explained something Noah had never fully considered. Behavior is communication. Every action tells a story. Sometimes the story is obvious. Sometimes it remains hidden beneath layers of misunderstanding. And for the first time, Noah felt seen. Not fixed, not judged, just seen. Building bridges. Progress did not happen overnight. Real growth rarely does. Instead, it unfolded gradually. The counselor helped Noah identify early signs of anxiety: tight shoulders, rapid breathing, racing thoughts. He learned strategies for managing overwhelming situations before reaching a breaking point. Teachers received guidance as well. Some began providing advance notice before schedule changes. Others offered written instructions along with verbal explanations. Small accommodations created significant differences. His parents learned new communication approaches. Rather than focusing immediately on problem solving, they practiced validating his emotions first. Something remarkable began to happen. The tension at home slowly decreased, not because challenges disappeared, but because understanding increased. A new friendship. One afternoon, in science class, Noah met another student named Alex. Alex was quiet, observant, patient. Unlike many classmates, Alex wasn't intimidated by awkward silences. Their friendship began unexpectedly. They discovered a shared fascination with astronomy, and soon they spent long lunch periods discussing black holes, distant galaxies, and the possibility of life beyond Earth. Their conversations felt comfortable, predictable, safe. For perhaps the first time, Noah experienced what genuine acceptance felt like. Alex didn't expect him to become someone else. He simply accepted who Noah already was. That acceptance became a turning point because belonging doesn't require perfection. It requires connection. The hidden weight. Despite the progress, difficult days still occurred. There were moments when depression settled heavily over Noah's thoughts. Moments when fear convinced him that he would never fit in. Moments when loneliness felt endless. These experiences are often part of emotional disabilities. People sometimes assume emotional struggles are visible, yet many individuals become experts at hiding their pain. They smile, attend school, complete assignments, participate in activities, and meanwhile, an entirely different battle unfolds internally. Noah carried that hidden weight for years. The important difference now was that he no longer carried it alone. Support had entered the picture. Understanding had entered the picture. And hope had entered the picture. Noah's senior year. By senior year, Noah had changed. Not because his autism disappeared, not because anxiety vanished, not because life became easy. He changed because he learned something powerful. Changes and challenges did not define his worth. The misunderstandings of others were not accurate measurements of his own value, and asking for help was not weakness. It was wisdom. During graduation rehearsal, Noah stood among hundreds of classmates. The same hallways that once felt impossible now felt familiar. The same school that had once seemed overwhelming now held memories of growth. He looked around and noticed something he had missed for years. Everyone was carrying something. Some carried anxiety, others carried grief, others carried self-doubt. Everyone had invisible struggles. His just happened to be easier to misunderstand. Reflection. As adults, we often encounter individuals whose behavior puzzles us. A student who refuses to participate, a teenager who withdraws, a young adult who reacts intensely to seemingly ordinary situations. It can be tempting to focus only on what we see. But beneath behavior often lies a deeper story. A story of anxiety, of fear, a story of loneliness, a story of unmet needs. When we respond with curiosity instead of judgment, we create opportunities for healing. When we seek understanding before assumptions, we build bridges. And when we recognize what behavior is often communication, we begin to hear what words alone cannot express. In closing, Noah's story reminds us that some of the strongest individuals are those who quietly face challenges others never see. His journey was not about becoming someone different. It was about being understood. It was about finding connection. It was about learning that he belonged exactly as he was. As you reflect on this story tonight, perhaps consider the people in your own life whose struggles may remain hidden beneath the surface. Sometimes the greatest gift we can offer another person is not solutions, not judgment, but understanding. Thank you for joining me this evening. Until next time, may you find compassion for others, patience for yourself, and peace in the knowledge that every behavior has a story waiting to be understood. Good night. Here are some education references for further reading. They are simple, interactive websites that are easily accessible. First, Autism Speaks, Understanding Autism. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, Autism Spectrum Disorder. Third, National Institute of Mental Health, Child and Adolescent Mental Health. Fourth, Council for Exceptional Children. And fifth, understood.org, Learning and Thinking Differences. Good night, everyone.